All right, there we go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Caliber Corner Season 5, episode number 255, where today we're talking about USPSA competitive shooting and where to begin. We are lucky to be joined by two fantastic USPSA shooters. We got Foose and Chris in the 740, and some of the other people on the panel have competed in this arena. So they'll kind of talk about their experiences. So today we're just going to kind of take you through the basics, what you should know, what to expect, maybe common mistakes people make when they look at getting into it, and so on. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and let the panel introduce themselves. We will go ahead and get started. Apologies up front. I'm battling a cold right now, so I don't have my beautiful, boisterous voice that I normally do. So you got to put up with the congested Travis P11 instead. So off to my right, we've got Foose. Foose is loose on the USPSA circuit. Foose, how's your morning going? How you doing?
It's going well. I woke up extra early for this, so yeah.
Thank you, man. I feel like I owe you breakfast or something. So
normally on a Saturday, I wake up about 7:45.
Yeah.
7:55, 8:08, something like that. But I actually set my alarm for about 6:45 this morning. Get up and get going. Make sure I'm good and available over here. So.
Well, I appreciate everybody showing up on the panel. I'm surprised to see so many faces this morning because I didn't know if this topic was going to go over well or not with anybody. But no, I'm glad you're here and you do a lot of competitive shooting and you're in this area. So it's nice to get your expertise.
I do a little bit, yeah.
A little bit here and there, just a few rounds, a couple boxes every month. That's all. A couple cases of ammo every month, right?
Yeah, let's see. In the past week, I loaded up 4,800 rounds of 9mm.
That's all.
Yeah, I know exactly. That's all. I need to spend a lot more time down there. So
absolutely
there, I should say.
Cool. All right. Also joining us, Single Shot. How's your morning going, man? You doing good?
Not doing too bad there so far this morning. I'm down in Massachusetts. So I headed out on the next roundabout here towards Muncie. Nice day down here. Got about, what is that? I think it's 68 degrees.
Ooh, nice.
And mostly clear.
Okay.
Had a pretty busy time there when I was home this last time. Went over to see a friend of mine over in Vermont. And that pretty much took up the day there for Thursday. Wednesday did a little bit of stuff around the house, and Friday morning there did a little more. So we're working on it, and I am officially retired.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You mentioned that last week. So now you find yourself even busier than you ever have been, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I'm still going to drive as long as I can keep my my physical card. As long as I keep passing that physical, I'm going to keep driving. Boss and I have already talked about that quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And I just joined the blue team. I got myself a Dillon 550.
Ooh,
nice.
There you go.
So
hey.
I'm going to be playing with that here in the next few weeks. I got to get some die sets. Not die sets, but the conversion sets for it.
Conversion kits?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. I've got two. I got one for the 44 mag special and one for the 357 mag special. I want to get the 308 and the 223.
Okay.
Cool.
To go along with it. So
awesome.
One little part there that I'm not 100% sure about. I'm going to have to do some research on it to make sure that I've got it put together right. But she's all mounted and mostly all put together. I'm almost ready to go.
Nice. Good deal, man. Cool. Well, now that you're retired, you got some time to reload, so that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least we think so. So, all right. Okay. Also joining us is Awag 1000. Awag, how's it going?
I'm doing all right. Conditions permitting. Got a ton of stuff going on, building a bunch of stuff, and just taking my time with life right now.
Nice. So, Awag, just a spoiler alert. You said you had a little, you dabbled in USPSA a little bit. You were running a super high-end What were you running? What was your gun again?
Actually, I was running a regular PSA dagger. It is a compact, and I was running it in the class called Carry Optics, which allows red dot sights on your slide. It was pretty good. My first event that I went to, I did not place last place. One of the guys that was projected to essentially dominate everything in Carry Optics decided to break the 180 and get disqualified.
So you mean you don't have to have an ATI staccato to be competitive in USPSA?
Correct.
Well, I was looking for an excuse to buy one. Now I don't have one, so I guess I can't compete now. So
a
that's cool.
staccato is really not doesn't fit any box, really.
Yeah. Dude, I was just kidding. I have no clue even running it. That's why I'm here today, is ask you guys. So there we go.
Just to throw shade on the Springfield Prodigy, they jam a lot. There was 3 people that had a Prodigy in the match that I went to. All of them had failure to fires, failure to ejects, and failure to failure to feeds.
So I don't want to rip on the gun, but it's a crappy recoil spring. That's what the issue is, isn't it? Or not?
I think there's a lot more going on than just the recoil spring.
There's a lot more. Yeah.
Maybe didn't test it enough. Yeah.
Most of the issues in the Prodigy are the shitty mags that come.
It's funny. It's funny on YouTube how many series of videos are now like fixing my Springfield Prodigy, or how to improve your. It's like, okay, it's a $1,600 gun. You would just expect it to run out of the box. You would hope it would.
Well, I mean, the $1,600 gun that you bought, or that is MSRP that you got, runs out of the box.
Shadow 2.
Yep.
Yeah, and which, like I said, I bought mine used. It looked like it was brand new, and I got it for what, $8.99 or $8.49. So if you look around, sometimes they just show up in cases. So
yours wasn't shot.
No, it was pretty cool. All right. Okay, also joining us is Squib Lift. Squib Lift, how's your morning going? How you doing, sir?
You hear?
It won't unmute. That's how my morning's going. I hit the button 5 times. Yeah, I'm at work and I'm training somebody. Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
Welcome to my world, Squib.
Oh, yeah.
Exercise.
Every day is a training exercise for you. I couldn't imagine 30 or 32 of them. No. I actually abandoned the guy. Hopefully he doesn't end up underneath the machine.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I won't be able to say much, but I really don't have a lot to add to this. I looked into this about 20 years ago. It's one of those things that I wanted to do, and a couple divorces later, it just didn't materialize. There were other things too around that time that I was looking into getting into that I ended up not doing. Now, as far as I'm concerned, with my life the way it is and the other hobbies that I have, this is I wouldn't get into it, not because I think anything ill of it, but because it's just I no time, no money. I got other stuff that I'm doing, so that ship has sailed. However, one of the things that I like about it, okay, it's practical shooting. They've got a category for stock guns, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I liked about it. You don't have to go in there with a fancy race gun. And there's nothing wrong with having a fancy race gun, but if it's truly practical shooting, then having a stock gun is practical. However, I can see why they would have different classes. Whatever you want to do. I like the fact that there were options to it. There were other sporting, I don't want to call them groups, but organizations, I guess, that I was looking into 20 years ago as well, that had other things about them that I really found appealing. And I try to keep my guns kind of stock. So that was part of it that I really liked. So I'm just interested in stepping back and listening. The audio is better if I'm in the panel than if I'm listening on the YouTube side. So I'm just going to deal with my trainee and let you guys, distract me so I pretend I'm not here.
Well, if you don't answer, we're just going to assume you're trying to prevent him from being run over by a forklift. So we understand completely. So that's fine. I can hear the forklift in the background beeping.
Yeah, crap. I better go check on him. All right.
I hear that horn's constantly beeping, so it could be bad right now. You might. How many days without incident in your plant? Like 6 or 7? Is that what you guys are pushing right now?
About 6 or 7 hours on Let's see.
Hours
On Sunday of last week, a guy backed into a pallet rack and crushed it. Yeah, and the next day they dropped 3 stacks of skids all over the place. So injury maybe 2 or 3 weeks, but incident, no, less than a week.
All right, so moving on, we've got Chris from the 740. Chris, how's your morning going? Long time no see, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I got a weekend where I don't really have anything to do other than get my stuff packed up, ready to head out to Tulsa this week.
Oh, there you go.
You're going to Tulsa. Sweet.
Yeah.
Have you done that before?
No, this will be my first one.
It's going to blow your mind. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I'm excited. It's going to be cool to meet everybody in person.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it's a good time. Like I said, tons of guns for sale, and you gotta manage your time, man, because you'll sit there and 4 or 5 hours will go by and you realize you've only covered like 30 tables, and there's like another 2,000 to go, literally.
Yeah. Chris, if you're wanting to buy like primers, back in the spring, there's a guy selling the eugenics ones from not Serbia, Bosnia. So take cash.
Okay.
They're about 1,000. I mean 100,000, but they should be cheaper now.
Yep, that's definitely on the list of things to bring back. So,
yeah. Then there's going to be things you're going to run into that you didn't expect to buy, like a numbers matching pristine M1 Grand, and or like a Swiss Luger. There's like hundreds of them for sale at that thing. Like, I hope I get to see one, and there's just tables of them everywhere, New York Outcast microphone drop comment of the morning. Cash is king. There you go. Speaking of New York Outcast, rnldisplays.com. Make sure you guys head over there and check out rnldisplays.com. They've got premium display furniture for your AR-15 and your pistols. And yes, they are Glock compatible. So make sure you guys do check that out. I've got the web address going across the bottom with a little banner there. So, all right. So Chris, and also you have just finished up competing in USPSA pistol caliber carbine class, right?
Yep, just shot my last match last Saturday.
Good deal.
For the year.
Good deal. And so you're well seasoned. So we will cover the PCC route also. Foose is going to start off kind of taking us through the mindset that somebody might have going into it, and then we can, you guys kind of bounce off each other with ideas and stuff that just pops up that you think people need to know. And again, the fact they've got kind of a couple box stock categories, I think it's really cool. You can kind of bring what you got and try it. So it doesn't have to be a very expensive investment. And again, just like most shooting events I've ever gone to, it's a very welcoming environment. People are always happy to have new people get into it. They're excited by it. You never know what you're going to get offered when you go to something like that. So that's cool. All right. Also joining us, we've got Jason Stewart. How's your morning going, sir? How you doing? You good?
Oh, doing real good, man. Thanks for the invite, Travis. When I saw the title for this episode, USPSA Shooting and Where to Begin, I just I want to get in on this. I love hanging out with the guys. I want to hear what they have to say. I'm ready to learn a few things.
Cool.
I joined USPSA. I haven't been to a match yet. Chris and some other local people, like Reloading from the Hot Pot, Gene, they're going to get me into this next season. But I've just been having a blast getting my gear, doing a little bit of practice with it. Watching a lot of so-called bigger name YouTube channels about the shooting, just enjoying all of it, just wanting to really have a lot of practice, gear that I'm already familiar with and I know that works before I even go. I've really enjoyed a lot of it. It's changed a lot, a little bit just about like buying gear and my firearms for this. It's changed me a little bit because, just a quick example, like now the guns I'm going to use for competition, I don't care if they get scratched up. I don't care if they get beat up. I don't care what color the grips are, as long as there's the grips that have the feel I want. I don't care about cosmetics or any of that. And like normal range day with your friends or your buddies, I take care of my stuff. Now I have not a care in the world that magazine gets dropped, thrown on stones, stepped on, beat up, whatever, as long as I think it works. If not, I'll grab another one. So I'm probably going to end up being a little harder on my equipment, but I just been cupcaking it because, I got nice stuff and I don't want it hurt. Now all that's gone. I can have a little more fun, a little more enjoyment. I've just loved so far just getting the gear and a little bit of practice. Try not to overlearn too much, but I'm kind of blessed with the mindset. I may not be any good, but I know what good's supposed to be. So I've been having a lot of fun with the journey so far, learning a lot, and it's still enthusiastic to me. I'm still excited. It's something I wish I would have started many years ago.
New York Outcast has a message for you, Jason. He goes, "Careful, Jason. I heard it's like drugs. Friends get you in on it so they can borrow ammo on your payday." What you got there, Foos? What are you showing off?
One of my practice magazines that I've been running for like 4 years with an aluminum base pad. I'm just saying that it's going to get banged up.
Yeah.
Like
these are tools, guys. They're meant to be used. Yeah. If you don't want to use them, don't take them.
I mean, you can see the patina, the blue and stuff coming off of it. It's going to happen. When you can see that mag catch.
Yeah, it's seen a little wear.
It's going to happen.
Heck yeah.
And that's even a live round, guys. Oh my God.
All right. Also joining us, we got Hillbilly Up, American Hillbilly.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing, sir? What you been up to?
Doing great, man. Went out and did my jogging, got my goat yoga done, shot me up some avocado toast. I'm ready to go.
We make some pumpkin spice lattes.
Yeah.
Glock style, some High Point Carbine edition pumpkin style. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you got to check out the Hillbilly Up American Hillbilly channel. Definitely a person who enjoys his fruits and vegetables. So that's what I got to say.
And I'm on a mission to get rid of hard seltzer, one can at a time.
Just making the world a better place. Every time there's one less can of White Claw on this planet, I'm a happier person. So thank you, sir. Thank you for doing what you do.
The bad thing is they keep on making it.
I know. Yeah. I don't understand people that consume that stuff. It makes no sense to me. Why would you even waste your time on this planet doing that? But that's a discussion for another time. So what can I say? Once we hit our mid-40s, we're way past hard seltzer, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about this competition shooting and stuff. I something I really like to get into one of these days. At least I think it's great for practice and everything. And my wife's like, "Well, I won't need a race gun," and she's like, "What do you mean a race gun?" I'm like, it's like a group, like say 5 guys or whatever, and you race to buy the most guns you can in a short amount of time.
But you could use it as a good excuse to get that race gun, So
exactly.
Yeah, you'd be like, I have to. There's a class that I'm competing in, so I have to get, Travis P11 says I need a Shadow 2, so I got to go buy a Shadow 2. So yeah.
But from you, Hillbilly, I know up in just west of Springfield, there is 2 Alpha at Springfield Bench Rest Gun Club is where it's at. They do a monthly match, and that's a good group of guys. I used to shoot there.
Okay, yeah, man.
It's not too far from you.
I'll have to check them out.
Yeah, and as I go through to see what or how, like anybody that is wanting to do this, as I'm going through to show, hey, this is how you find it, feel free to do it yourself and see what's around you.
Yeah, guys, the website we're going to be using USPSA.org, and they've got, you can punch in your zip code to find events around you. So if you want to get into it, they're going to show you where to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
all right.
And they want to go in conjunction with practicescore.com.
Okay. Finally, last up on the intros is Firefighter 09, not the CIA. So Firefighter, what's going on? How you doing, sir?
Well, I got moved to first shift, so that's where I've been hiding. I turned into an early morning little gremlin.
Good for you. Welcome to my world.
Travis, why did you have to bring up the M1? You made me go get the one I just got from the CMP out of my safe.
Travi mind tricks, I'm telling you. Now you're sitting here thinking, I could use another one of these in my collection right now.
Yeah, you can never have enough.
Never enough M1s. Never enough M1s.
Never enough M1s. Yep. I got 3 of them all from CMP.
God. Well, I got this one from the CMP. I ordered a rack grade, and it came in, and I had to go get it recrowned because it had a massive gash in it. the end of the muzzle.
Surprised they made pass a QC.
Yeah, and I even took pictures of it, sent it to the armorer, and he's like, "Oh, it's fine to shoot."
Yeah, I mean, rat grade is just that. That's why if you go to CMP, I would suggest service to be your minimum.
But I took it to my local gun shop, and the owner's also the local smith, so he's able to recrown it, and now it's perfectly safe to shoot.
I mean, it always was, but anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna get into it now. So Foos, this is your baby, man. Foos
this
and
is
Chris.
My baby.
So
okay.
I'm interested in USPSA shooting. I know nothing about it. What do I need to know? Where do I begin?
First things first.
Yeah.
If you have a full-size handgun, anything, this is a Glock frame. It could be Glock, M&P, CZ, like whatever it is. If it's just like a plastic gun, like anything, go shoot that first. Do not buy anything. All you need is a holster that covers the trigger. That's all you need. Cover the trigger. Do not buy anything until you actually know you want to play this sport. Because I've seen so many people, they come in, they have a brand new gun, brand new setup, spent like $2,000 or $3,000, get in and go, well, I don't want to shoot this gun in this sport. So they just spent a bunch of money and not really, they just spent the money. Don't spend any money until you get in and shoot a couple matches. Any full-size handgun, even a compact, if you use carry optics, like the length of the, you know how most people are like, oh, I want a longer gun for your sight radius. There we go, your sight radius. Well, with a red dot, you don't care about sight radius. So compacts, perfectly fine in a CO. I know Awag went ahead and shot his compact. Perfectly fine. No worries about that. But go ahead and don't buy anything. Maybe a holster, $20, $30 holster, just to cover. A lot of them are Kydex. Just go ahead and cover the whole the trigger guard. Your extra magazines have three, maybe 4 magazines. They can go in pockets to start off with. You're not going to win anyway, being your first day, because there's been people that, pretty much devote their lives to this sport. So you're not going to win. So go ahead and just basically show up early to your first match. Let's say if it starts at 11, get there at 10, 9:45 and say, hey, I'm new. Can I help? And they will either put you to work and then you can start talking with people as you're finishing setting up and, get to know people because that's one of the best things about this sport is the people. The people will there's been times a few years ago, a guy went and he had like 4 or 5 reshoots and he was running out of ammo. People were throwing ammo at him. Like, we're gonna get you going. I've seen a gun blow up, and then all of a sudden another guy's like, "Oh, you're shooting a Glock. I have a Glock here. Take my gun." Bam. It's no worries. We are some of the most gracious people. USPSA. Of course, there's always 2, 3, 4% of people that aren't, but culture is great. We all want everyone, majority of the people want everyone to shoot at their top level. So we all communicate on how to do stuff. But so if you do not know what to do and say, okay, I'm interested in this sport, let's go ahead. I want to go to my first match. Okay, this is what I want to do. I want to go and present my screen. Sure, whatever. Present screen one. All right. So the first thing I would do is USPSA.org. I am signed in. I'll actually go and log out, so I'll be just like everyone.
Now, real quick on the left side, we don't have to watch it. They have a video you can watch on the left side. Really, just in 2 minutes, it does give you a nice overview of just kind of what it's all about. And you get to see people of all different shapes and sizes shooting and a lot of the different classes. So for the absolute beginner, the website does offer. And by the way, I'm not endorsed by USPSA at all. I'm not even a member. I just want to see what it's all about because maybe I can do some competition this summer. So, okay.
Yeah. So basically, you go to matches. You can go to the view calendar and view lists and stuff like that. It's like not everyone posts their matches on USPSA. Clubs can, but I know a lot of clubs don't. So I just go down to Club Finder and Lincoln, right?
Yeah, you want my zip code?
That's
I'm not sure if it was zip code
there
specific.
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
So clubs in your area. So right now, you're Lincoln. There is here the Eastern Nebraska Gun Club 10 inner weapons training. Never even heard of that. Columbus and then Osceola. So for you, it'd probably be Eastern Nebraska Gun Club, which I know several of the people that go and shoot there. So you go and you're like, okay, this is the name. Don't worry about the code. Here's your address. And then if you want to get in contact with the organizer, here's their contact. So if you would take and so here, let's do this. I'm going to copy this. This is practicescore.com. Okay. I am not logged into this. Awesome. So I come out here to matches. And I paste in Eastern Nebraska Gun Club. Why is that not? Like in Nebraska. Okay. Actually, Thunder Alley has IDPA. I know right now, because it is going into winter, a lot of clubs don't have matches.
I was going to say we're not in season right now, so you're not going to see stuff listed. But once you get closer to springtime, yeah.
So you go ahead and put in your. So I'm going to change this to. All right, Kansas City, because I know. Come on.
What is the name of this website again that you're using?
Practicescore.com. PracticeScore.com. I did put it earlier in the match.
Okay.
If I spell independence correctly. Or you can just go update location. Come on. Why is it? Screw it. I'm going to go this way. Okay. So you can just take and zoom in. So right now, their map is, I'm just zooming in a little far. So there's 6 here. So if you click on the 6 and you click on, so there's a KSCM IDPA. There's IDPA. This is MCSPL. It's Mill Creek Practical Shooting League. This is about 45 minutes away from me. And here's the date. It's next weekend. So I would go here, click there, and I would go ahead and sign in. If I remember this login. Hey, okay. So that was me basically finding a club that I want to shoot. And then I come here, it says when it starts. So it starts at 10 a.m., ends that day at about 4 p.m. A lot of times they'll say, oops, Where'd I go? Let me go back to that. Okay. They'll say where it's at, how much it's going to cost, all that stuff. And you come down here to register. First, last name, division. If it's your first time and you're just running a normal a gun, I would most likely say limited. So limited, actually, let's come back to that. So limited, and then go U class because you are unclassified. Category, if you're one of these, go ahead. Military is, it can be former or current military. Same with law enforcement. And foreign is if you are were born outside the U.S. Minor power factor, if you're going to run 9. Member number, go ahead and leave that blank, and then answer any other questions. This has a waiver. So and then you just sign up, and then you can go ahead and register. So let me go to my dashboard. I know I'm going over this quite well.
Somebody can go back and watch this. We're just trying to take people to the basic places they need to go, and then they can do their own searches. Now, USPSA.org also has an app for your phone that I saw too.
Yep.
Okay. So that would be a good place to go to check scores and check matches and stuff, right?
Yeah. So once you are already signed up, it will come to a page looking like this where you can select your squad.
Hey, quick question out there from Ozzy Osbourne. This is a good one to answer right now. What is the average registration fee to go compete?
Depends. If it's a local
ballpark figure,
like if it's a local indoor match, $10. Around here, we have one out east that is $15 to play, and this one right here, it's $30 to play. Or if you help set up multiple times, it's $15 for the entire year. So that's one way they entice people to help set up.
So it's about the price of an Arby's value meal, basically, right? Yeah. It's not like you're like, oh, $30, that's a lot. Well, look at what you spent $30. I mean, if you want to compete, it's just like any hobby. It's just like any competitive hobby, whether you play like an amateur sport or something or whatever, you're going to pay a little bit, but it's still not as bad as it could be. So
yeah. So I'm right here. I went ahead and you select whatever squad. It says yes, squad me, and then select squad, and then you're done. It will take you back to this page. It's just there. So that is the basis of signing up for a match and finding a match. If you can even come out to here and practice for it and totally skip USPSA altogether. You can just zoom in on where you're at, and then you can just scroll down and go, I want USPSA only. And then drill down. And as you saw earlier, this was like a 7. Well, now there's just 1 because it's only USPSA. Here, there's a whole bunch because these are Tuesday night indoor matches.
Okay.
And I have them set up for every week until the end of the month, until the end of the year.
Quick question for you. I was going to say Chris just answered it. If there was a separate division for wheel guns.
Yes, there is a Revolver Division. 8 shots for 8-shot revolvers. If you want to shoot like a major, basically that'd be your 44 Special, 44 Magnum, and bigger. You can only load 6. It's a 6-shot in that division. But most people run either 9 with moon clips or 38 Special and run 8 rounds in there.
I wanted to I just wanted to say something real quick, just so we don't throw confusion out there to the people in the side chat. So
yeah,
now, like Fine 8 brought up is there a Revolver Division? Yes. So let's just say we got Davy Jones out there and New York Outcast, and they want to go shoot a match together. But Rob shoots carry optics and Davy shoots revolver. You guys can still squad together and shoot together. Even though there's all these different divisions, you can still have 5 or 6 guys on the same squad, all shooting a different division. So I just want to clear that up.
And you're really not competing against each other, but you are competing against each other. I'm just looking for divisions here. Measurements.
Yeah, USPSA. I just downloaded it before we start. They've got a nice, like I looked at the 2021 rules download, and it's 122 pages, but the table of contents makes it super easy to find exactly what you want. So it explains all the rules. It explains all the different divisions, the equipment. They do a good job explaining it on the website. So for a beginner, you can download that PDF and just kind of scroll through and just read what pertains to you.
Yeah, so I'm going to just come here. So, yeah, there's a Revolver Division right here. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to go down the list right here and kind of describe what guns would be in each division. A limited, that is usually a new person coming into the sport and shooting what they have in the house just as an introductory. That's where majority of people do. But for like competitive guns, this is where your double stack 2011s are. This is where your Tac Sport, CZ Tac Sport oranges in 40. This is a 40 caliber dominant division. Limited 10 is the same guns, but only 10 rounds in the magazine. You can run a single stack 1911 style with a 10 round magazine in this. Perfectly legal. Both of these have major and minor scoring, and we'll come back to the scoring later. But limited is you are limited to a 140 millimeter magazine, which is, if you were here earlier, I don't know if you could actually see me right now, but it's 140 millimeter magazine. It's this magazine right here. In 40 caliber, you could fit about 20 or 21 in there. In a 9 millimeter, you could fit about 23 to 24 rounds into a magazine. I don't have my Glock one here, but anyway. So limited 10 is just that, except you can run the same magazine, but you can only load it to 10 rounds. That is made for whenever this was introduced. It was during the 94 assault weapons ban, so that's one reason this was limited 10. Open, this is a division that you see the big race guns. You have frame mounted optics, you have compensators. Majority of these open guns are 2011 and 9 millimeter 38 Super. These are your hopped up, if you want to think about it, F1 cars around. These are very expensive to operate, very expensive to run. This would be amazing division. I want to do it, but as soon as my toe gets dipped in it, I'm going to jump in, and I don't want to jump in. So production is off the shelf. Glocks go in there. Any of your plastic frame guns, absolutely. The caveat to this is it's limited to 10 rounds. Shadow 2s could go in this. Tanfos go in this. Berettas could go in this. You have to have iron sights. Also limited and limited 10 are iron sights as well.
Hey, quick question from Abe here. The total mag overall length or just the mag body? When you mentioned the 100 and some millimeter mag limit?
The 141 millimeter mag, that is the overall length of the magazine. And then
including the extensions on it and stuff?
Yes. Overall length.
Okay.
Open, that number is a 171 millimeters. So you'll see the open guns, you will routinely get 28, 29 rounds into your magazine. Revolver, we've kind of already discussed that. It is a revolver. Production is minor scoring only. So almost 99.999% of people shoot 9mm in production. Revolver, we've kind of already went over. Single stack, it has to be a 1911 style gun. It can staccatos can go into it because they did change the rule that you can have a modular framed firearm in this. That rule was recent, the past couple of years. Before then, it actually had to be a full frame metal grip and frame together. Carry optics. Any gun that is in production will also be in carry optics. The only difference, there's two differences. Number one is slide mounted optic. It has to be slide mounted. Whenever you fire, the slide and the frame and the optic have to reciprocate. And you get a mag extension. Back to this thing. And it goes back to the 140 millimeters. So you could fit 23 rounds in it. Carry optics right now is the most participated, deepest division out there for two things. The guns are the cheaper. You have good capacity, which 23 rounds. And then you have an optic so people go faster. And it's the cheapest ammo to shoot. So and a lot of people say it's the most fun. I disagree. Carry optics, you get better quicker because instead of having your front and rear sight aligned, all you have to do is put the dot on the target and go. You get better because that dot will tell you more stuff than your irons will. And then PCC is your pistol caliber carbine, which Chris will tell you more about later. All right, or if you want to talk about it now, you can.
Yeah, Chris, let us know, like, what do people that want to get into PCC, what's some of the typical platforms you see people running? Are we running converted like AR lowers? Are we running Ruger PCCs? Are we running PSA AKVs or Ps or whatever? What is it?
Well, first I want to go back to what Foose said at the beginning. Even if you're planning on jumping into PCC, don't go out and buy a $3,000 DaVinci or a $2,500 JP or I shot my first year with a Kel-Tec sub 2000. It's because it's what I had. I had a 16-inch barrel carbine. It was already in my safe. I had plenty of Glock mags to run on it, and that's what I started out with. Now, I run a little bit of a different gun than most people. I do run a Ruger PC carbine, but it's not really a Ruger anymore. I mean, it's got a tandem cross chassis on it, and but the average guy is going to, in PCC, is going to be running some sort of AR9. Whether you're taking your, putting a 9mm upper on it and putting an insert in it to run Glock mags. I know Palmetto State. The thing you got to think about with PCC, it's going to cost a little bit of money because PC carbines they're expensive, especially now. I mean, when I bought my sub 2000 years ago, it was $399. I don't even know what they would cost you now. Probably $500, $600. Same way with the Rugers when they first came out. I think you could get them for $599, and now you're seeing them for $700. So, but run what you got. But yeah, your average guys you're going to see shooting PCC, they are running some kind of AR9 variant. You don't see too many AKs, but you will once in a while. I mean, I've seen a guy run a Chris Vector one time. It's just every club you go to, there's going to be people running different things. But definitely start out with what you got. And like Fu said, even if you decide you don't like it, PC carbines are just cool to have. They're fun toys to take to the range and plink with. And but yeah, you don't want to jump right into it, and because you can get some money wrapped up in an AR-9 real quick.
Yep. So as far as like all divisions getting signed up, that is basically that's basically the gist of it. Run what you have, just go and shoot. You're not, go there knowing that you may come in last place, and that is perfectly fine. You may stand there and go to war with steel, meaning you have a piece of steel out there and you fire, 8, 9, 10 rounds at it. Fine. There's a major misconception that everyone is going to be there watching you. You're going to have the person running the timer and maybe one other person watching you, but no one's going to care or no one's going to remember what you did after the fact unless you do something stupid like, have an AD or an ND or point your gun up range or something like that. But as long as you're safe, it doesn't matter if you, in a 10-round course fire, if you shoot 10 rounds or 30 rounds, the only person that's going to remember that is you. So check your ego leave it in your vehicle whenever you get there. And just go out and shoot. That's all I'm going to say is just go out and shoot. The sport is fun. Get there. Especially if you're in a seasoned gun club, there will be a number of people that are cliquish because we do see a lot of people that come in, shoot 2 or 3, and then leave, and we never see them. But stick around. That will get broken through. The ice will be broken pretty darn quick. I'm actually going to go to my YouTube channel here in a second, kind of show you some overall views. So yeah, just go out and shoot. It's the best group of people out there.
Foos,
Would
you say that overcoming your fear of embarrassment, your stage fright, or checking your ego, if you're in the opposite there, where you think you're Rambo and you find out you're not, do you think overcoming that and dealing with that is part of what somebody should get out of this? Not just the skill or the camaraderie or the recreation, but the fact that there are lots of people out there with the gear and lots of people out there that have the piece of paper that said they took this course, but if push come to shove, they'd freeze. Or they would maybe make some mistakes because they've got that stage fright or embarrassment or ego or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, yes, absolutely, 100%. The biggest thing about getting into the sport and staying into the sport, I'm not going to talk about the cost or anything because the cost is extremely relative on how you want to train. But the biggest thing of getting into the sport and staying in the sport is realizing that you're not the best. You just go out there, shoot, and talk with guys, enjoy them, and have fun. Plain and simple. That's all you need to do. When it comes to training, we will talk about how to get better here in a little bit, and that is where a lot of the monetary stuff does come in, because no matter what gun you buy, the gun is the cheap part. The ammo is the expensive part. But again, if you sit there and you really get into dry fire and understand dry fire and religiously dry fire, you can get extremely good with very minimal number of rounds downrange. So, but so my channel is, I don't have many subscribers. I didn't even know I had 200 subscribers. It's basically a bunch of ranges, bunch of matches that I've done over the years. If you want to kind of look and see what they are, go ahead and come out here. More than welcome to, and just watch. If you want me to play one, I can do that. I don't know what you want, Travis.
Yeah, you can run through one if you want to. Just real quick, from Chris, like what would you tell people about the first couple competitions you went to? Were you pretty nervous? Were you worried about your gear? Do you have any equipment malfunctions or anything like that?
I didn't have any malfunctions, but I was extremely, I guess you'd call what we were saying stage fright. And so one thing I wanted to say too is, like, if you do show up to one of these matches and you see these guys, a lot of the guys in these fancy jerseys and stuff, that kind of intimidated me when I first got into it. But honestly, those guys, they've got sponsors. They're showing off their sponsors. And those guys, pretty much all of them work at a 7 to 3, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, just like everybody else. And they are extremely helpful, even if they're a grandmaster. I have a lot of really good friends that are GMs, and they're some of the most helpful people at the range. And
so,
go ahead.
Most of the people that have these jerseys on, they're actually not sponsored. They just have the jersey because they want to look like they're sponsored.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, I'm a fan of.
You go to like a car race, you're wearing the team jacket,
yes,
or you're wearing that polo that's got Ferrari on it or something. I mean, but to somebody who doesn't know that, you're like, man, these guys are just plastered logos. I can't compete with these guys, I
tell people I'm an auto worker, and I am, and I wear a Chevy hat everywhere. So everybody thinks I work for General Motors, but I don't. Same difference. Yep.
And then, I sit here and all mine are plain. There's some people that have shirts bedazzled and everything. It doesn't matter anymore. So here's a quick that I was running production at this time. I don't know if my audio will come through, but I will be reloading a lot. This was 4 years ago. So I've been in this sport since 2011. So someone coming in right now, I will probably blow them out of the water just because I've been doing this for over a decade. So I'll go ahead and play this real quick. A short 27 seconds. And that is a typical stage. Actually, that's a longer stage for 27 seconds. Usually ours are anywhere between 13 and 22 seconds. Is that right, Chris?
Yeah, unless you're slow like me.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that is a typical. We have two different types of targets. Let's see, images. Yep. So we have a target. We call this is a standard. Sorry, this IPSC target, or it's called standard. Or here in the U.S., a lot of times we call these turtle targets. And you have an A zone right here in the center, a C on the outside, and a D further out. The name of this, like how we determine who's better than someone else, it's called hit factor scoring. People just go, huh? Whenever they say that. The main thing is we score on how many points per second you score. Majority of the time, 2 rounds score. So if I sit here and I put 10 rounds into this target, only 2 rounds will score. So those other 8 rounds, I'm wasting time and not gaining any points. So that's why it's usually two rounds and then on to the next.
I have a quick question about that, please. Yeah. So you see a lot of mag changes, and that's one thing I was going to ask you. Sometimes just a couple shots and then a mag drop and another magazine. Is that like certain levels of, like, is there going to be more of that in one class or one field, or what's the purpose of that?
So basically with USPSA, they give you the stage and say, solve it however you choose. Well, the best stage plan or the best way to shoot it, I may take one target, dump a magazine because of capacity. It's a lot more prevalent in a production, single stack, stuff with a lower capacity, where you will shoot a target or two and change mags because the position further up range will have, 10 shots, 11 shots, what have you.
So it's mainly about positioning yourself on what's ahead.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. So let's go Cornhusker Classic. Right here.
Now you say breaking the 180. What does that mean for people that don't know the terminology?
Okay. Breaking the 180. See how the backstop is right here. Okay. The 180, we call it the 180 because it's 180 degrees sideways. But the actual rule states if your muzzle breaks more than 90 degrees vertical, down, left, or right from the backstop. So if I'm standing right where I'm at and the muzzle, and I start pointing the muzzle back here at this black post, hopefully you can see my, you can see my cursor.
Yeah, we got you. Yeah.
I will be breaking the 180 because it is more than 90 degrees up from my body. So I'm basically pointing the gun uprange. That's what the 180 degree is. If I am back up forward up here on this white line, on this orange line, if I would aim in this hole or at this target that I'm currently aiming, because I think I'm shooting this guy right here.
Yeah.
Which is further up range. I'm actually back. Like right now, I'm probably, if I would draw a straight line to the right of me, I'm probably halfway between this porthole and the end of this wall. Shooting this guy. And then you'll see as I come here, reload. So some people are like, oh my God, you're almost shooting the 180. Well, no, I'm shooting way up here. And then as soon as I finish shoot, see how you bring it down? People may think I'm breaking the 180, but my gun and everything is canted uprange. So I'm actually running uprange. And you can kind of see it as I pump my arms. I'm keeping the gun uprange.
Well, I mean, your body height is going to have an effect on it too. And then where the targets are placed, if they're up on a hill, you're going to be close to breaking the 180, but I understand, and what happens if you are caught doing that? What happens?
The RO, this guy right here is the RO. He's the one that scores the timer. This timer, it takes the concussion of the rounds. So it knows when shots are fired, and it goes how many seconds from that beginning beep. If you break the 180 and he sees it, he will yell stop. You stop. If you ever hear stop on a range, you stop.
Yeah.
That's the only time you stop. But yeah, if he yells stop, you stop, and then all suddenly, okay, he's gonna say unload and show clear. You do that. If clear, hammer down and holster. And then he will say, you broke the 180, you're disqualified. You are done for the day. It's a major safety violation. So yeah, you're done for the day. And so the range commands, that's a big thing. Whenever you get signed up, you are up on your very first stage or any stage. Number one, keep your gun in your holster at all times unless you are at the safety area, and then never have it, and then never touch ammo. Or magazines that are filled with ammo. So basically, whenever you're walking around your stage, always keep the gun in the holster. The only time you pull the gun out of the holster is if the RO, the guy with the timer here, he or she will say, make ready. At that time, you could pull your gun out, you could cycle it, you could do whatever you want with it, except discharge it. And then you can take and load, you load the gun, put the gun in ready condition, and get ready to shoot. Once you are finished with that, he will say, are you ready? And you could say, you can do one of three things. You can do nothing. You could say yes, which they mean the exact same thing. Or you could say no. If you say no, you do whatever you need to do. Then he says, are you ready again? And it's the same thing. Yes, no, whatever. If you say nothing, he will say, stand by. And then 1 to 4 seconds after stand by, you will hear a beep. That beep is the green light. Go, draw, start shooting, start working your plan. At the end of it, as soon as you're finished, and that's what we're doing right here in this still, if he thinks you are finished, he'll say, if you are finished, unload and show clear. That is a question. It's not a statement. If you are not finished and you want to continue shooting, continue shooting. Then he'll come back and say, if you're finished, unload and show clear. Once you are finished, unload. A lot of times I just drop mag, eject the round, and then they say, if you're finished, hammer down the holster. So you go ahead and go, and you actually dry fire. Point the gun down range and dry fire it.
See, I was wondering because, like with the Shadow 2, I don't think I have a decocker, right?
No. So for you running production, you actually have to hold your hammer, pull the trigger, and lower the hammer onto the firing pin.
Okay.
That is considered safe condition.
Okay.
But at the end, you rack it out and you dry fire it. If you have a decocker, you still have to dry fire it. Decocking it is not considered a safe condition.
Yeah.
As at the end of a stage. The reason we do that is supposed to do a visual inspection of the chamber, but it's a question. It's up to the shooter to know the condition of their firearm, not to.
Did you answer M. Gabriel's question? Does changing spring weights take you out of stock?
No.
Hammer spring, recoil spring doesn't matter.
Nope. Okay. Triggers, you can do whatever you want to trigger. The way stuff is nowadays. A few years ago, if you changed out trigger shoes, you would not be in production. Now you can change out trigger shoes and you're fine. You can change all internal parts and you're fine. But at the end, the reason we dry fire is it is another representation that that the chamber's empty, because the RO is not going to look down. Well, some ROs will look down into your chambers. Most of them will not, because it's up to the shooter. Like if I say, and I sit there and I drop a mag and I rack it out and the gun, and for some odd reason I break an extractor and the round does not come out, and I go and I put down and I pull the trigger and the round goes off, I'm getting disqualified. It is up to the shooter to know if their firearm is clear or not. I always catch my extra round. On 2011s, I wouldn't do that just because they're made for longer cartridges, but that's down the road.
I like the safety protocols, and there's some redundancy built in there as well as accountability. I think when you're at an event like this where you've got people who maybe some of you guys don't know each other, right? And, you know, you're on a schedule to some extent and all this, you know, maybe you're not familiar with the range or whatever. There's some random variables that kind of take somebody out of their comfort zone. Having a standardized safety procedure and making sure everybody follows it, I think is going to keep random accidents from happening. I mean, that and maybe keeping Alec Baldwin away from the match. But other than that, I think that some people who aren't used to going to a structured, organized event or training location might have some trouble understanding why your procedures are that way. But it's that way so that nobody gets hurt, nobody dies, everybody goes home safe, and kind of more or less so you guys can keep doing this. You know, safety is everybody's job, and it sounds like that's what they're doing. They're making it everybody's job.
Yes. We run a cold range, so your gun there's no magazine in the gun, and your hammer is down or striker is down, and nothing in your chamber at all. Like if, let's say I was in a hotel room the night before and I was playing with snap caps and I had a snap cap in my chamber, I go out to the very first stage and I unload, make ready. I put my magazine and I rack that slide and that snap cap comes out. I'm going home. That's considered a round. That means I was walking around with a live gun. They want the chamber empty because the reasoning of that is if you play with your own snap caps and you're used to having something in your chamber, you might look at that and go, oh, I always have something in my chamber, and not realize it is a live round. So we run around with guns. This sport is inherently safe because of the rule set and the safety features and practices that we've done for the past 25, 30 years. It's an extremely safe sport because wherever you go out in the nation, actually the world, because here in a couple of weeks at the end of November, IPSC, which is the world.
Is that international pistol like shooting competition?
Yes. They're having their world shoot in Thailand. Well, all of these rule commands, are you ready? Make ready. Are you ready? Stand by. If finish, unload and show clear. Stop. If clear, hammer down and holster. All that stuff is exactly the same worldwide. All those range commands, whether it's here, Thailand, Germany, Russia, South Africa, wherever, they're always said in English, and they're all the same. So no matter where you are in the world, you will know and you will understand going internationally anywhere else in the world and shooting anywhere in the world. So,
hey, Chris, real quick, did you want to add something? You were maybe trying to say something earlier. I just want to make sure we.
Yeah, I'll just make it real quick. So now, if you're shooting PCC division like me, your safety stuff is different than what shooting a handgun. So if you're going to shoot a PCC, if you look to Foos's left in that video, you got that berm right there.
Mm-hmm.
So now my PCC has to have a chamber flag in it.
Yep.
I keep mine in a bag in my wagon. I pull a wagon behind me. So when I go to pull my gun, when it's my turn to come up to shoot, I keep my wagon pointed into the berm because you don't want to be pulling the gun out of the bag. Even though it has a chamber flag in it, you don't want to be flagging somebody with that rifle. So I keep it pointed at the berm. Now, there are two different ways. Now, the way here in Ohio, everywhere I go, when I'm walking up to the firing line, I got to have chamber flag in and my gun pointed up, straight up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I get to the range or to the firing line with the RO, when he tells you to make ready, that is when I point my gun downrange, make sure my dot's on, make sure everything's functioning, and then I will put a mag in, load the gun, and then my stock has to be on my belt, pointed downrange. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the course of fire, where Foose would tell him to unload, show clear, hammer down, holster. What I have to do is unload, show clear, and then put my chamber flag back in.
You forgot one thing. You also have to hammer down. So you have to close your bolt, pull the trigger. That's the last verification that your chamber is empty. And then you'll rack it open and then put your chamber flag in and close your bolt on your chamber flag.
Yep. And then when I walk back to the wagon, gun pointed straight up in the air and point it at the berm and put it right back in my bag. Yeah. Now, I have been to matches before where they make you actually bring the gun up in the bag. So it very rarely happens, but I did shoot one match one time where they did make me bring it up inside the bag, even though it still had a chamber flag in it. But
yeah, those are outliers. The rules says you can unbag it 6 inches from a side berm, and that's totally legal.
Yeah.
We do from Tommy Gun. I saw a question is, in the States, do you have to take a course or class for USPSA or IPSC? Up here, I have to take class for IPSC to get your black badge when completed. In USA, in the States, there is no course that is needed for USPSA. I know there are, depending on what country it is, you may need to take additional courses to say, yes, I know how to use my firearm before you go and actually can legally own a firearm or go to these matches. In the States, that is not the case. If you could legally own a firearm, you could come out and shoot this match.
Hey, I'd like to bring up real quick. We've addressed, since I'm the very new guy, this is very fresh and familiar in my mind. You experienced guys can chime in. Maybe it's somewhat different now that you're, seasoned pros at this. But for the new guys starting out, I mean, we've talked about, the breaking the rules, the equipment, other things. Are you stressed? Are you worried about other people or any of that? To somewhat that's a little negative. Let's talk a little bit about the fun factor.
Oh, absolutely.
For me, maybe I'm going to represent the most majority of everybody out there. We're on YouTube. We're gun people. We're gun collectors, gun shooters. But what all of us pretty much usually do, we're going to ranges, and we're standing still, and we're shooting at bullseye targets, or we're in the backyard plinking. This USPA stuff is so much different. It's a couple shots, it's multiple targets, it's moving around, it's doing things like that you're not ever used to. And like the first competitor, if you're in a match here, the timer is time. Whether you try to, I know to go slow, the time's on you a little bit, even when you're practicing like I've been doing. But it's like you're just sitting at like stationary targets, standing still, everything's fine, you're having a good time, you're concentrating maybe on your sights or your grip or something. When you get into this and moving around, all of a sudden your eyes and your brain are like processing 1,000 things at once that you've never had to deal with before. Like you'll know you didn't like the last shot you took, or you think you ran too slow over here. Your body's forcing you go faster, go faster, go faster. You're learning instantly what you're doing wrong. You're trying to process that. You're trying to do something different. You have balance thrown into the equation of your body taking the shot. There's just all these things that hit you at once that you're just not getting out in your backyard. And whether you're slow, whether you sucked, whether you missed everything, doesn't matter. At the end of your stage, your body has adrenaline pumping. You feel that's what this is giving you, the fun factor.
Absolutely.
The adrenaline in your body, that's what makes us humans have a good time. there's just a lot of talk. I didn't want to scare anybody off about, oh, there's too many rules or the safety or the people watching or any of that. Yeah, that's all part of it. But just even going out and practice, like even because I've been using a red dot and I'm new to the red dot. So I'm trying to find the dot that's thrown into the mix. Mm-hmm. But it gets your adrenaline going. Regardless of anybody else, you're competing against yourself. You're competing about what your eyeballs are seeing through the end of that gun at a target. You're shooting at targets that don't have bullseyes anymore.
It's just like anything else. You have to get used to it. When you're new at it, I'm sure you're going to be intimidated and things like that. But the reality is that once you get into the groove, once you get used to it, and it all becomes kind of second nature. Even if you're not, doing that well competitively, but at least you're out there doing it. You're hitting your marks. You're remembering the rules. It's coming to you more naturally. It's like anything else, learning anything else. I mean, if you did sports in high school or something, you remember some of the drills, and you're going, "Why do I do this?" And then you get out on the field, and then it makes sense, and that sort of thing. So I think that it might be a little bit intimidating, or maybe even just irritating for some people, some of the things that they've got to do to get used to it. But once they do, I think, that fun factor comes into play. But what do they have provisions for as far as somebody new learning it without actually getting scored? I mean, you don't just walk out there and shoot a match and not know what you're doing, right?
Yeah. I mean, most new guys, they go out there and they shoot and they have no idea what they're doing. And that's why talking with other people on your squad, what's going on. For instance, this is a normalized USPSA target. We don't have the B zone anymore. That's just the C zone continues up there. But see how the A zone is in the top center right here? If you look right here, this guy is in that same orientation. But then you look over here and this guy's upside down. So I would aim right here for this guy because that's center A zone. But if I aim right at that same spot over here, I'm actually shooting the C zone. I actually have to drop where I'm aiming, drop my eyes down here because I have to shoot the center A zone.
But see, you can talk about it. You can show pictures or video and show somebody what you did and why, and what's within the rules and what's going to get you a better score. That's great for talking points or watching footage. But I'm talking about, are there actual weekends where everybody's out there, the new guys are out there with the experienced guys, and there's no score? They're running you through and you're doing a drill. All right, everybody do this. All right, now we're going to go do this, or something like that.
So, some clubs, depending on the culture, yes, but it's nothing organized saying, hey, we're going to have a new members practice. Some clubs do have new shooter matches where you're going to have some experienced guys out there, and then it's basically set up just like you said, walking through everything. We're still going to have a score because this is a game. So we're going to go and still score everything, make sure, what you think you shot is actually what you shot, but you're just going to go out there, have fun, and learn. The biggest thing to this sport is the learning aspect, and learning how to shoot much better. The average USPSA shooter is remarkably better than the most people that are out there just standing at a stack range putting holes in the paper. Just because we practice more. We put more rounds down range, more dynamic, just like
running and gunning and being accurate. Right there is going to,
Well, just think about this. You're out driving a car and you're on the interstate. It's no fun. And then you get off on a 2-lane road and you start having hills and curves, and okay, this is starting to get, entertaining. It's the same thing, except, as you go more into the usefulness of your vehicle, you start hopping on a track. Yes, you may be driving a, Geo Metro, but you're still having fun with that Geo Metro out on a track, running the same track as someone that has an F1 car. Yes, they're not going to, you're not going to beat them. Even if you had that same F1 car that they have had, that they run, you're still not going to beat them because your talent's not there. Or, you may not see everything as fast as someone. You may be all talented. You may be able to shoot and, turn the car, just as hard, hit your apex just as well as someone else. But then your exit may be a little wonky, where you don't get set up for the next corner quite right, where that professional driver, someone who's been doing it for 3, 4, 5, 8 years, 10 years, whatever, they're like, okay, I need to make this corner and I need to hold it a little tighter because I need to have good entry for the next corner. It's, rounding out your skills and meshing your skills together is what is awesome about this sport, because it's not just accuracy. It's not just speed. It is a speed and accuracy and how can I plan my stage to be the most efficient. So there's so much going on in your head. And like someone says earlier, you have all this stuff going on. As you progress in the sport, as you become more comfortable with the sport, really the only thing that you should be thinking about is driving your eyes to where you want the target, the bullets to hit on the target, getting the appropriate sight picture for the appropriate target, and then that's pretty much it. Most of the time you shoot and your mind is clear.
So I want to chime in on something there that, like what Squib was asking about, like a preparatory thing. Like one thing that I do at every match is I show up at least an hour early before every match, and if there's 5 stages to shoot that day, I go walk all 5 of those stages, and I walk through them like I'm shooting an imaginary gun. And if you're a first timer going to one of these matches, just go up. Like, I don't have a problem with it, and most guys don't. Just come up to me and say, hey, how are you going to shoot this stage? And I'll walk a new person through that stage. I'll show them where their 180s are. Like, don't turn here. But we call it stage planning first thing in the morning when we're walking these stages. And it's a really, really smart thing to do. Especially like doing what Foose does, where he's shooting handgun. You start marking out, where am I going to change this mag? Like, I'm going to engage these 4 targets, and while I'm on the run to this next set of targets, I'm going to drop a mag and change it. And most of the guys there will help you with all that stuff. So show up to your first match early.
Ask any question you have at any time. Just not like if you see someone's getting ready to shoot, ask someone else.
Yeah.
Also, like when I was referencing earlier about new things and that you're not used to and how that adds to the fun factor, there's also the thing in there that maybe it's an equalizer, that kind of a handicap for everybody. There's times when, like, say you're right-handed, you have to shoot left-handed, or you're single-handed. That might not be what you're used to out in the backyard all the time. That's another thing that's brand new, and just from watching videos and I see it's not perfectly easy for everybody. Not everybody is Super Dave, you know what I mean? You'll see super fast shooters that are really good, ranked well, lots of experience, and they're blowing through the course, and then when they got to switch over to the left hand, you can noticeably see, well, they're slower also. So it's okay if you're a little slower off. That's unusual, it's different, but it just adds to that, like I said, the things you're processing when you're aiming and shooting. It just adds to it. It adds the excitement level to it, some difficulty. There's just so much to this that is so different than just standing in your backyard that That's what really got me into it. Because like from being in the backyard in the ranges, I started getting excited just about putting up 2 or 3 targets and just engaging multiple targets because it was different. Now that I'm trying to do this and move around and run around, it's just, I love it because there's a lot of things that I find just become natural, like that you might worry about, like we were talking about dry firing, practicing your draw, practicing mag reloads, and you're worrying, oh, I need to do it faster, I need to do it faster. Then you get out there and you just do it, and it all just falls into place. It's so natural. It's like you've been drawing for that holster your entire life. That happened for a half second, it's over. It has had nothing to do with the rest of this match, and your mind moves on. But there's a lot like you're trying to process, that you're trying to do better. You're kind of remembering a little bit from the last shot or whatever. But so many things go down and happen in the course of one of those shoots that it's just so much different to being in your backyard. Even if you're not good, you're not ranky, you miss shots, you're super slow. Any of that all is so much better, I believe, as a person and a shooter, that will follow you into a self-defense situation if that happens. Because like everybody talks about self-defense, oh well, I could do this or whatever. Like I said, if you're used to just standing there shooting at a target in your backyard, go move around a little bit and give it some effort. Try to be athletic here about it. You'll see this is a totally different game, and it just, even if you're just having fun, or I mean, it's gonna always benefit you as being a better shooter if you're able to be mobile and take quick shots. It's a benefit all the way around, man.
This is just fun to watch, man. This is exciting.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
That's one reason I went here. I'm starting to go first person, so you can actually see what I'm seeing. And like I'm taking appropriate sight pictures. I'm sucking on this stage, but that, those are about a 35, 40 yard mini popper. So I'm shooting about a 6-inch target. And here's the one-handed shooting.
Hey, Chris, could you just make a comment? I know you kind of answered out in the comments, but Hillbilly Up was saying, do you ever see a newbie that's just a natural at this and adapts very easily?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's you, Chris, wasn't it? Chris, that's you, isn't it? Yeah. Now, Foos, I noticed on that last video that you saw, you cut across the yellow border. Yes. Were you allowed to do that? You can cut a corner?
Yes. USPSA, you could run anywhere on the stage. In IPSC, you have to stay within the boundaries.
So it's just more of like a guide of what your boundaries or what you want to follow to get through the targets?
Think of that as out of bounds. You could only shoot while you're in bounds, but you could run out of bounds. Just like soccer. You could run out of bounds, but you can only touch the ball when you're in bounds.
Okay. Yeah, because you weren't shooting as you were cutting that corner on that little tee that you ran down that little corridor. So
right.
This looks fun. Now, do you walk these stages before you go through them? Do you get a chance to look at them? Because I would just be totally confused. If I had to run through this, I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to be shooting at?
So all these are majors that I'm showing right here. So if this is a Sunday major. So Saturday I got there and I walked and I decided what I wanted to shoot. Granted, I wouldn't be able to see any of the swingers and stuff moving because you're not supposed to touch any props on a stage, but you could look around and see how to shoot it. And then there's stuff like this. I'm not going to say what it is.
Would you be able to answer Tim's question real quick? Which targets are the targets you shoot? I've seen white targets, sideways targets with hands. What's the difference at your SP11? I can't answer that question because I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah.
USPSA, the rule is your targets have to be a cardboard color. 99.99% of the time, you are going to be shooting brown targets. White targets, you'll have white poppers, white steel. But if you see a white cardboard, think of that as a no shoot, meaning do not shoot it. If you shoot that, you put a round in there, it's a penalty no matter what. If you see some out there that it's a black on it, if you put a round in there, you can make it up. It's not going. It's like a hardcover steel. So that's what the black is. Like, oh, yes, you shot it in the black, but it actually didn't go through and hit the person or the target behind. You can think of the white guy as a hostage target.
Yeah, I can see why the setup on some of these would take a while. There's some pretty complex things that we have going on here, like the floating base. And now these layouts and stuff, are these just things that people come up with, or is there a manual that says you have to run this particular template or setup? I mean, these are just creative ideas that people come up with.
No, there's a few rules saying you cannot. So this guy right here, he's running carry optics. See how all of his mags are right here, and then nothing's in the gun.
But I mean, like the actual layout of where the targets are, there's going to be some basic specifications you got to follow in order to.
Basically, it is the only thing that it is saying you can't you cannot have a target where you can see it behind the 180, so you don't have someone trying to turn and shoot a target uprange. You could only mandate 8 rounds from a position before you have to move to see more or to shoot. There's the building of stages. That's something that more seasoned people do, just because you start shooting more and more and you start seeing what is good versus what is bad. Usually how I design stages is I'm like, all right, what do I want to test? If it's a distance change up, I will have 1 or 2 spots where I might have a 5-yard target and then maybe a 25-yard target next to each other.
Okay.
So it's a distance change up. So you're sitting there railing, cutting, 0.17 splits on the close target and instantly throttle down for a long farther target. And then here I think the door activated. No, that steel activated that guy. That's what it was.
I'll bring up something that I noticed very early on watching everybody else. You guys tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I think in this sport right here, I'll just say, call it you bigger guys have an advantage on this.
No.
I see it like I've seen every single one of you guys go up and maybe peek around a corner, do something, but I've seen you take a shot, both shots, your second shot, what I'll call off balance on one foot, and your body weight is able to control that, as to where, like, I'm 150 pounds with clothes on, and my balance in my feet stance and my neck plays a factor into me. I just couldn't do that like you guys do that.
Well, if you train your muscle strength would have a lot to do with it too. Just your body strength, because you could hold, like being able to do pull-ups even if you only weigh so much. But
actually, the more fit you are, the better the more advantage you have. And going back to earlier, we said we don't care about our guns. Look at the bluing on my slide and how it's wearing off. And this is my match gun that doesn't have the amount of rounds on my other gun does. Like, our guns get beat up. But whenever it comes to the size, the more athletic you are is better. Maybe 150, if you're a grown man, maybe that may be a little light just because of muscle mass. But I'm almost 300 pounds, and I am definitely at a disadvantage to a lot of guys.
Yeah, but
like if I could get down to about 200, I'd be a lot better.
Well, see, I may be at another disadvantage. I may be 150, you may be 300, but I smoke 2 packs a day. So you and I have about even lung capacity, fatigue or whatever.
Yeah, the smoking would be the issue.
Well, just over the course of an entire match, in order to maintain your stamina to go through multiple stages, you know, especially after the adrenaline dump and you start to feel that fatigue of what you just put yourself through. Some high anxiety event, you know.
Yeah, so a lot of this, we start shooting at 7 or 8 a.m. and we're not done until 5 p.m. On our feet all day.
Chris, what would you say about the fitness aspect of it? Is it important to work out and train a little bit? Do you think that's like, are some of the best shooters some of the most fit guys or not? Or are they just people that know their gun and they're just naturally talented, or is it a mix or what?
Fitness is a big thing. I mean, if you look at like your top guys in the sport right now, like JJ Racaza, Nils, these guys they're skinny. You do get instances though where you get a guy comes out of nowhere, like one of the guys I interviewed a few weeks ago on my show, Tianfo Timmy. He's a big dude, but he's right there at the top. I mean, he can compete with anybody, but for the most part, you are definitely going to be a better shooter if you keep the weight off, don't smoke, get some sort of cardio in.
Sure, that Jason?
I don't, but yeah, it does play a big part in it, because you got to be fast. You got to be able to move from one spot to the next quickly.
Just the distance you got to take some of these shots at, man. I'm telling you, that's wow.
Mm-hmm. Well, the big thing about Tianfo Timmy is
he's a freaking bulldog, man. That guy's like a Rottweiler, man. He's
so the reason size matters is usually the bigger, the more weight you carry, the longer it takes to accelerate and decelerate. With Tianfo Timmy, he's a unique beast because he can accelerate like a skinny guy, and he goes all out. Whenever it's time to run, he runs where a lot of other bigger guys, we don't get up to top speed where he does. This guy is up north.
He's one of those Viking dudes, yeah.
No, I mean, I think he's in. He's up north, yeah.
Yeah, I got to watch him. I got to watch him shoot in person at Nationals this year. Man, he is he's amazing to watch.
That's cool. This is the no shoot. So you see how all the targets are pasted up here. This is where everyone's shooting. If I put a round into the no shoot down here, that is that's penalty no matter what.
Tim S has got a nice comment for us. Smokers class maybe needed to add, call it SU at USPSA. So you have to be a registered tobacco user or vapor to have that way you can compete within your own lung capacity crew, you know? Yeah.
No,
you have to run through each stage with a cigarette in your mouth, an unlit cigarette, and it cannot fall out.
So that's the thing. No smoking as you're shooting.
Well, then we can't have the S class now, can we?
What about dip?
S class.
You could be dipping.
You can have the menthol division, you can have the naturals division, the Marlboro Light crew, the Reds, you know. The Cools. Those are the PCC guys.
Sponsored by Copenhagen.
Newport. Virginia Slims Classic.
Yeah, so big or small, you could do whatever, you know, no matter what you could play. It's what you do to this, what you put in the sport is what you get out of the sport. So there's dry firing. If you are really wanting to get into this, I'm going to go ahead and go to this book right here, Practical Shooting Training. Buy this book. Read this book. This will tell you how to get better and what to look for as you progress in skill. This has 4 training levels. First one is I've never picked up a gun. Second one is I'm somewhat decent. Another one is like, okay, I'm top locals, but I still need to get a lot better. And there's the death stalkers that are, you know, going to be winning championships. So there's 4 different levels, and you get to shoot a lot of the same drills throughout those 4 levels. But depending on your skill level, what you think, what you see, what you're looking for, how you act, how like everything you do on that will change depending on your skill level. So like I am tier 3 in this, so winning locals. But this winter, I'm actually going back and reading the 1 and 2 because there's stuff that I might have forgotten. I've read all of 3. I've read 4 because I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to. I want to go to this. Is there anything that I can? Oh, I'm already. They say, look at this specific point, or have the gun up, or whatever. Okay, I'm already doing that. That's good. I want to keep doing that. Or there may be something I'm doing incorrectly, but at the Death Stalker area, it says, hey, stop doing this. Well, I'm going to stop doing it early because I don't want to get into bad habits. But get this book, read it. It is phenomenal.
What's the other one you had on your coffee table when I visited you? Is the Ben Stoker? Is that what his name was?
Yeah, that's the same.
Oh, is that? Okay, I couldn't tell who. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
And this is Dry Fire Reloaded. This is a book of nothing but dry fire skills. The dry fire. Just so dry fire, that is not just sitting there pulling the trigger at your TV. That is loading. Another thing is where we get into the sport. Your dry fire magazines, if I can get this out of here, there we go. I have rounds that, can you see? Yeah, there you go. No primer, no powder.
Yeah.
It's for weight because a loaded mag, a weighted mag, and an empty mag loads differently. It feels differently in the gun.
Can you buy rounds like that? I know obviously us guys that reload can do that ourselves, but you can also somebody makes a primer-free round for just practice sake or whatever.
Well, that or when you start like several times into a match, or say you go to 3, 4, 5 matches, and you see someone that has reloaded ammo. A lot of times you'll see it because they'll have the projectile will be a different color, like blue, black, red, purple, green, whatever. Ask them like, hey, I'm starting to do this. I don't reload. You may be buying factory. I like to have weighted magazines. Could I purchase some, dry fire, empty case, dry fire rounds off, and they'll load some up with no powder, no projectile. No powder, no
okay,
and let you go.
We might really be onto something here with this whole smokers class because look, Cuban division must run the course of fire with the cigar clamped in your mouth, minimum cigar size no smaller than a roll of dimes.
Nice.
So I'm telling you, man, this might be the new thing.
There is a lot of people in the sport do smoke cigars after the matches.
It also depends on what the range rules are, what the range manual says is allowed or not. It depends on maybe even the state. They might have certain rules about it.
That doesn't matter.
They don't care.
And then here's the one-handed shooting that we've talked about. And damn, I'm fat.
No, the camera just adds 20 pounds, dude. I'm fat. And it's the camera. You're husky. You're husky. You're not fat. You're husky.
No, I'm fat.
You're sturdy. Oh man. Hey, Chris, do you want to add anything here? So we're just kind of talking, just kind of some general things to keep in mind.
I'm kind of running out of stuff.
No, that's okay. We'll call it. We've been going almost 2 hours. I think it's been a really good show just for the information that's thrown out there. And it's just easy to digest, easy to take in. If you guys have questions watching this, put your questions in the comments on this video once it posts, and I can ask Foos or Foos, if you see questions on this video, you can go answer questions or whatever.
Absolutely. But the number one thing is, if you think you need to practice more before you shoot, Don't. Just go shoot.
And then you'll discover what your strengths and weaknesses are too.
Yes.
Maybe it's hand strength, maybe it's body strength, maybe it's steadiness of pistol. You'll discover quick what's working for you and what's not. So, yeah.
And if you want to see stuff, I have stuff from 5 years ago where I am not good. Not good at all.
Chris, what would you say? Have you seen your skills and abilities really improve? It's a dumb question, but have you been consistent the whole time you've been shooting? Have you improved? What do you do to shoot better other than just going to the matches?
I do a lot of dry fire in my basement. I saw the comment out there earlier that I believe Fine Ape had said about aiming at light switches in the house. And I know he was trying to be funny, but actually it's a really good idea to put some targets up around the house. And I've got targets in my basement. I do a lot of mag change practice. That's something we didn't really cover too much in the chat. Is you are going to shoot stages where they are going to require you to do a mandatory reload. So practicing mag changes is a big something you definitely want to do. I've got I've got like a padded area down in my basement where I drop my mags just because I just don't want them constantly hitting the concrete. But you don't, dry fire is a very good skill to learn and practice a lot. Once you, like Fu said, once you decide this is something you want to do and you're going to get into it, plus it's a lot cheaper than shooting live rounds all day long.
So this match I have right now, this is from 2016. I'm shooting production, but yeah, you can definitely tell I'm a lot better now. And a lot of times it's the reason we video, we don't care about the targets or anything like that. We're looking at movement, how we're standing. Because if you look right here, see how off balance I am? Where now I'd have to be wider and I'd be sunk lower and I wouldn't be off balance.
If you fall, is that a DQ?
What?
If you fall when you're leaning over, if you fall, is that a disqualification because you got a gun in your hands? Like you weren't in control of your own body at that point?
No. If you lose the gun, yes. But if you fall and you keep the gun pointed down range and everything's good,
you're okay.
Get up and go.
So Outcast has a question. What's that?
No fumbles.
No fumbles.
But right here, a big thing between Tanfo Timmy and me, see how I'm kind of lollygagging up here? Tanfo Timmy would be
sprinting
butt right here.
A question from Outcast for you, Foos. The best you can, how much would you estimate you spend on a year for everything? Travel, hotels, clothing. We could leave gas out of it because gas depends on how far you actually have to go.
So,
but what would you say?
If you go to a major, think of about $600 each time you go to the major between food, fuel, match, hotel, everything.
When you reload, if you had to buy ammo, how many rounds would you actually go through in a typical match? Like, what's the average? 50, 100 rounds, 200 rounds?
So, a local match, about 150 rounds.
So you're looking at $60 if you're shooting 9, $20 a box. Let's just throw that out there. Maybe 15,
At this match that you have right here, this is a major. You're probably looking at close to 200. And then, level 3, which is your area matches, you're looking at 250 to 300. And you're at your nationals, you're looking at about a little over 300 rounds. Okay. That's minimum. Of course, if you miss targets or miss steel, you're going to shoot more. Yeah. Normally, so I'm very fortunate that I do not have children. I do not have much expenses. I budget $1,000 per month for USPSA or all gun stuff, I should say. But just because I budget $1,000 does not mean I spend $1,000 a month. Like that's for all primers, powder, cases, all reloading stuff. So A few months ago, I bought 10,000 primers. Well, that was $1,000. Last month, I went down to nationals down in Alabama. Well, that was almost $500 in fuel. Airbnb was a couple $100. Just to play was almost $300. So it depends on what you do. I am not a typical USPSA shooter because I do travel. I don't travel as much as a lot of people, but I do travel. Majority of the USPSA shooters don't travel. They just go and shoot their locals. Then maybe you may get a budget $200 a month for fuel to and from, ammo, range, paying for the range, or your match, and then maybe that's $200 and then go out and shoot once a week for practice. $200 a month getting started, that's absolutely doable. It's not a cheap sport. It's not an expensive sport because, as Chris said, dry fire is cheap. You could do 95% of your training without ammo to get better. You shoot, you go to the range, and you practice to confirm what you were doing in dry firing.
Yeah.
That is where you get better because it's free and I'm going to do draws and reloads. Well, in 15 minutes, how many draws and reloads can you do in 15 minutes? Hundreds. Versus going out to the range and doing draw and reload 15 minutes and putting rounds down range. You're going to get maybe a third of the draws and reloads, maybe even a lot less than that. And then you're spending money because right now, it may not, if you're working on drawing an index, you may not really care where the round's going. Reload, you may not care that, exactly where the round's going. You may just want to get that smoothness of magazine grip in. Well, if you're at a range, you're going to do that and punch out and pull the trigger. Well, if that's not what you're training, then you don't need to punch out and pull the trigger. The way to get good in this sport is breaking each individual skill down and getting better at all of them individually and then put them together.
One thing I wanted to chime in on too with ammo. Let's say you're going to go to a local and let's say it's got 140 round count, take a couple extra boxes of ammo with you. And the reason I say that is it happens more than you think, but you might have a RO, the timer didn't read your times. You're going to have to reshoot that stage. So if that stage was 28 rounds, you're going to have to shoot it all over again. So you're going to have to use another 28 rounds. Another thing that can happen is in these videos you've been watching, you see those steel poppers he's shooting. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're not calibrated. So you might hit one and it doesn't go down. That's going to force another reshoot. So you got to shoot it again. So always, you may not use them, but if you got to, I always take double whatever the match is going to call for. So if it's 140 rounds, I'm going to take 300 rounds with me. It's just something I do. You probably won't use them, but that kind of stuff that I was talking about can happen.
Wow. And just going back and watching this from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, God, I sucked back then.
But again, that's kind of one of the cool things about filming is you can see how you've evolved and changed, from as time has gone on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the question I had. I'd seen it over in the side chat earlier, and I don't know if it was addressed or not, or if I just missed it. But somebody asked, when you're doing this and you're filming, your point of view and stuff like that. Do you wear a chest cam, a hat cam, stuff like that? So if somebody wanted to practice, they set up their tripod. Where would it be the best place for the point of view for them to go back and look at their videos and see what they're doing?
So the best thing is to, someone on the stage, hey, can you video me? they're going to say yes, unless they're right behind you, right in front of you in the shooting order. But just go and say, hey, can someone video me? Yeah. And give them, we all know how to use cameras on our cell phones. And it's done. I actually run out of ammo on my belt because I suck so much on this. I remember this stage.
There's a lot of targets there, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot, and everything's downrange and it's tiny. It's like, yeah, you burn through some ammo.
This is a 32 round all steel stage.
You got one there, Chris?
Yeah, so I keep this hat is always in my range bag. This has my GoPro mount on it. And I just, when I get to the match, I'll put my GoPro 8 right here on my hat. And that's how I get my POV footage or whatever you want to call it.
First person footage.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
God,
Thank you.
Anyway.
You got to be careful with some of the ones that are like an alligator clip that go on, because your GoPro will actually, when you're getting your angle right, that part of that alligator clip will actually show up in your footage. So I use this one. It's real minimalist, just to mount mine on.
Real quick with holsters, I noticed that I buy a lot of my holsters from wholeguns.com. And again, I'm not sponsored by them, but they're like $40 Kydex holsters. They do IDPA holsters. Can I use an IDPA holster in USPSA?
Yeah.
Okay, because they're nice, because they're really nice, good hardware on them. They're sturdy. I've got like 4 of them right now. So yeah.
Most people are starting for the first person video. They're starting to use these Insta 360s. Because they are very light and they just run. They put them up on their hats and go.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, buddy. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right.
What else? I know I'm sitting here just showing old videos. What other questions do you guys have?
Chris, anything else you want to say at all? Is that?
No, I was looking out here. G-Webs just threw out a question. He said,
yeah. Watching your filmed runs, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Do you learn what to do better or focus on the things you do wrong?
Oh, absolutely. Well, you want to see what you do well, because you want to maybe practice those a little bit less because you already do them right, but you still want to practice them to keep them going and keep those skills sharp. But yeah, for this, being in a third person, you're really concentrating on your own movement. Like for instance here, let's do this. Right here. First thing I noticed, look how I didn't draw very fast. I didn't run very hard. I got there and then the gun's up. Normally, just this moving into this position, my critique is get the gun out harder, faster, push off, have more of my weight on my outside leg so I could push off and fall and really get up to speed, and then get the gun up, aiming right about here. So as soon as I aim, because this is a wide open target, so as soon as I come here, I can start. My first round should be gone right now, instead of waiting there and then standing up. And then that was another thing. See how I'm lower, and then I stand up and shoot. That right there, getting into that position, that's 4 different things that I wish I did differently. So that is during my training, I would do those 4 different things individual. How would I do that? I would stand similar like this and draw, like have a par time on the timer. Maybe it's 2 seconds. Well, I want to where I'm at and where I want to be. Let's say I have 3 yards down the 3 yards away, and I want to get there in 2.5 seconds, and I want to have the gun up in my hand. Well, okay, I would hit that. I'd get the gun up, and I'd explode and get to my position before the timer would go again. So that's how I would get going faster. drawing the gun faster is just getting the gun and repetition on drawing. And then, I'd practice running and then to get over here, I would take and start off running and then have a vision barrier with targets, and I would make sure my gun comes up before or during that vision barrier to where as soon as my my gun comes on target, I'm starting to pull the trigger. And then you also video yourself as you are dry firing to make sure you don't stand up. So there's 4 different things in that 3 or 4 seconds that I would work on and how I would break each one down. And then you put them all together in practice or a match.
GUEBS has another question for you guys. Maybe Chris, you can take this one. How important is it to travel to shoot new ranges and see other shooters? Is there a social aspect of it that you look forward to? You're going to compete, you're going to win, but what about the social aspect of it?
Yeah, I love the social aspect of it, but I have many times signed up for a match and then I'll see another high-level PCC shooter signs up for that match and he's on a different squad. I'll actually switch squads just to learn. So I might leave a squad that's completely full of my friends because to me, it's free training. And I've gone as far even as I'll ask them if I can film them just so I can come home and study the film. I've done that quite a few times.
Yeah, and you don't even have to ask to film one, just film. Just take and like especially like this stage. A lot of these stages, everyone will run them the same. You film yourself and you film someone else that is beating you. And like, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. And then you start watching them side by side and you start seeing how, they're pushing off more aggressively. They're shooting into this guy. Maybe coming in here, they shoot something and, whatever on the move where you plant up and you're shooting. It's stuff like that can change, and you could actually see what you are get better at your own shooting and what you need to train and work on.
Holster question for you guys. We talked about the holsters. It just has to cover the trigger guard, right, or the finger guard. Is there a requirement for holsters, Kydex or leather? Can you run a leather holster?
We prefer Kydex. If you have nothing else for your first time,
is that just because of the positive retention? It clicks. It's guaranteed to not fall out, basically, or what?
Well, no, because the holster I'm having this time. If I ran too hard, that holster, the gun would pop out of the holster. It's just Kydex because they last longer. They're cheaper for long-term durability. Kydex, but if you don't have Kydex to start out, run a leather. Perfectly fine.
Gotcha. Cool.
So.
All right. Chris, you have anything you want to add here before we wrap it up?
No, I think we covered a lot. I mean, you could almost do a whole other show on this.
Now we haven't even really gotten into like equipment and all that fun stuff.
Go
like,
and go
ammo and.
But the main thing is if you are interested in this sport, try it out. Take what you have, try it out. If you don't like it, fine. If you like it, shoot it several more times. Ask people about different stuff. Belts. So here, let me stop this. Let me get back and how do I stop here? All right. Can I go full screen? Maybe. Can you put me full screen? So this is my current setup. Okay. Here is just a blade tech that is where my gun goes into. This one doesn't come undone, but yeah, it's cool. I have a better holster coming on the way, but it is hand built, and it takes a while for them to be built. So general holster, I have a hanger. This is a T1000 from Henning Group. This part right here is about $200. Don't have to do that. This belt, it's a Lynx belt. It's very adjustable. It's great. Double alpha holsters. These are about almost $100 a piece. You don't have to start there. Ghost mag pouches, they're about $25 a piece. That's the basic you need. This, I also have a ratcheting system in here. So I can, I take and I put it on. I ratchet.
So this doesn't have another belt that it goes around and attaches to. That's not. Oh, it is like Velcro.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha. So it stays on. Okay, so there is a second belt that you like an initial belt that you actually put through the belt loopholes and stuff, and then you put that on the outside. Oh, okay. The
Velcro, the hook is actually molded into the belt.
How much does that belt cost?
It's a $150 per link. So
so you pay $1.50 per link for the belt.
Yes. Okay, so this rig right here, I probably have 700 or 800 into this rig right here.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know a guy, he has about $1,200 into his rig.
Outcast says that's more than his car.
You don't need to do this. Think this is my one and only hobby.
My first 3-gun competition I ran, I used my Uncle Mike's tactical belt, I think it's Uncle Mike's, isn't it? And then I had a $13 Kydex holster I got off of eBay, and I had like a $12 double mag pouch that I ran. So
what
mine's a lot simpler.
Yes, what I have here, this is what I want. This is my preference. It is not a necessity. The reason I do this, one reason I have this Lynx belt and the way this is set up is I put this in my bag and I travel with that bag, so I don't have to worry about having a belt hanging off. The only thing that's absolutely necessary is probably the holster. Like this is a $30 or $40 Blade Tech holster.
Okay.
Everything else, there are cheaper versions that does the exact same thing. This is my preference. This is not needed. A lot of this stuff is higher end. These mag pouches, these are about tier 2 on the mag pouches. There is a tier 1 that is better, that is more expensive. But the belt, this is what I like. Is it needed? Absolutely not. You could get away with a full belt for $200. But yeah, that's my belt. And I know Chris's is totally different.
Chris, what do you got?
All right, so I run Code Evolution mag carriers. I only use 2, and I very rarely ever need these mags, but these are my backups. These are just stock 33 round Glock mags. But I got metal base plates on them just so they fall out of my magazine a little faster when I'm changing mags. But I just use a Core battle belt. And I got lucky I didn't have to buy this belt because Core sent it to me.
My Core belt, they sent me one too. It's my carry belt that I use basically, the Core. Yeah, and you can choose what kind of buckle you want. Now that's a little bit different style than what mine's more of a like you can wear it with slacks or something. You wouldn't really notice it.
So he runs the Blade Tech stuff. The Blade Tech backing and how it attaches.
Yeah. So I got probably $30 in one of these mag carriers. And but normally my main mag that I run is this. This is a factory 33 round Glock mag with an MBX extension on it. And this holds 47 rounds. So if I can't get through a whole stage with this mag, then I definitely did something wrong.
Yeah.
USPSA, the maximum number of rounds is supposed to be 32 rounds for a stage.
Gotcha.
So this one that you have up right now, about the gear.
Oh yeah, I'll go back. Yeah.
The cheaper gear, 90% of the people will not know difference between a cheaper gear or more expensive gear. The better you are, the gear matters a little bit, your belt, just because of your preferences. But the thing about your belt is you want it out of the way. So you want, as soon as you draw the gun, that belt's gone. You want the gun up, out, let's go. And then whenever you need to reload a magazine, when your hand comes down, your hand hits a mag. Okay, up and go. You want to not even think about your belt, your rig, or anything like that, because it just works. Whether you spend $200 or $2,000 on that, that's a preference. You just want it to work. You could train yourself around anything. That's one reason I'm shooting this thing this winter. Is I've been shooting CZs for 9 years now, and I haven't taken anything else serious. Well, this winter I'm going to be shooting this Glock because it's something totally different that I haven't shot much, and it's a much lighter firearm, and I just want to see what I can learn from this thing.
Cool.
I'd just like to add in there about getting started in this and getting your gear. We ask other people like Foose and Chris, what are you using? What do you see? I found very helpful, besides watching YouTube and looking what's for sale. If you join USPSA, they send you a magazine, and in that magazine will be a list of the gear like for your division, and they kind of they'll show you like everything from belts to mag holders to this or that. They'll show you like a percentage of what most of the shooters in your area are using. So that's a big help. You know what I mean? Like when you have nothing and you're starting with nothing and you want to get something good and you don't really want to buy something that'll break or something, that was a good reference for me to see what the sport is actually using.
That comes from nationals. Whenever we go to nationals, before we register, we have to do an equipment survey, and we have to say, what kind of brass are we using, what kind of bullet, powder, primer, what belt we have, what guns are we running, is it factory base pads, is it different grips, trying to get all the different components that we use, what do we use. So that comes from the nationals. What national people use may not be what other people use. But if you want to, hey, I want to get top of line, I'm like, you shoot 2 or 3 and like, this sport's for me, I want to buy once, cry once, then absolutely do something like this. Look around and ask people at your local range and go, can I see your belt? Can I see your holster? And like, hey, I've been looking at these CZs, but I don't want to go out and drop $1,000 on a CZ. Can I look at yours? Can I shoot yours? Yes. Like people, like even during the ammo crunch last year at Nationals, I was a buddy of mine that I just met, never met him before. It was only online as whenever I talked to him. But he gave me his $12,000 open gun and 4 28-round mags shooting 38 super. And he's like, here, shoot it. I was like, and like, there's no money going back and forth. It's here's my, you all like talking about guns. Here's ammo. Here, go and shoot it. And you can shoot to your heart's desire. I mean, it's no issue to play with someone else's rig and gun, and it's fine. Just ask.
Yeah. And I think you get that a lot. Just anybody who spends time at ranges, maybe it's not just a Nebraska thing, but there's always somebody out shooting. They're like, hey, you want to try this? Or I'm like, hey, what are you shooting over there? I'm shooting this, whatever, Colt Cup Classic. And that's pretty cool. It's music. You want to shoot it? Yeah, I'll try it, Yeah. It's just kind of this bonding that we have just as gun people, I guess, that it's, we're all in the same game here, So I think that's something I think a lot of people don't realize until they actually get to go to a range the first. Not saying every range is going to be like that, and every range is going to be different, but there's just kind of this general nature that you see quite a bit. So
the clubs do have cultures, depending on where you're at in the country.
Culture club?
What?
The culture club. Boy George is walking around with the CZE Tac Sport Orange, you know?
No, it's different. Like what you expect. You know what's on the range, how people interact. The cultures are different. We do get clickage, like I said, because a lot of people come into the sport get butthurt because they think that they're awesome, and then you see, you know, they may be, oh, I go to the gym all the time, I shoot all the time at a you know, static range, I could, you know, bullseye, and like they look like an operator, and then you have someone like me, desk job, 300 pounds, whoop their butt. I've been doing it for 10 years. I'm better than you because I've been training for this sport for a long time. You haven't been. You get butt hurt, so you don't come back. That's not the proper way to look at this. You have to realize you're a newbie coming into this. Have fun shooting and running around. You're going to have fun whether you're good or your skills are lacking.
Hey, last question here, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up here.
Okay.
Do you see much cheating? If so, what are they doing for the advantage? Is that possible?
We do not see much cheating.
No.
A lot of it is self. We help you out and stuff like that. There's not much cheating in the sport.
With an RO running behind you, it's going to be hard to pull something off anyway, you know. Although G-Webs does say that certain calibers tend to cheat, which is overlooked. So, you know, it's...
Well, so the main calibers in this sport is 9mm and 40. There's two different versions of 9. There's 9 minor ammo, which is about 124 round, 24 grain bullet, flying a little over 1,000 feet per second. And there's a 9 major ammo that's used in open guns. You could be running that same 124 grain pill, but you're pushing it 1,400 feet. So it's a lot hotter. Your standard block this may last 1 or 2 rounds of 9 major, but then it'll blow up. The guns are designed. So at a range, at a match, if you see a 9mm or if you see any ammo on the ground and you pick it up, tear it apart. Do not put it into your gun and shoot it because you have no idea what powder's in there, especially in our divisions. You know, I run a hot 40 cal. Well, I run an all steel gun. If you put that 40 cal into a 40 Glock, will it run? Yes, but it's going to feel hotter than factory stuff. You put a 9 major gun into a plastic gun, you are going to blow up your gun. You can get hurt with this stuff. But
even if I drop one of my rounds on the ground and I'm not 100% sure it's mine, it gets tore apart when I get home. Because if I run a 9 major round through one of my guns, that gun's done.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, oh, I have $1,000 gun destroyed because I'm trying to save 30 cents.
Tommy Gunn was saying that he wants to see a 38 super carry division.
Well, no, that's
super 38 super open. I thought it said 30 super carry. I'm sorry.
38 super, 38 super, and 38 super comp are valid for open guns. A lot of people run it because the pressure curve is softer and it's not as violent on the firearm as a 9 major.
Gotcha.
But 38 super brass and 38 super comp brass is expensive, hence why a lot of people run 9 major.
Okay. All right, so guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. It's been 2 hours and 18 minutes. It's been a fast 2 hours and 18 minutes, but I know these guys want to get going and get their stuff going on, and I'm still fighting a cold, so I feel horrible. So we're going to go ahead and let it go there. But anyway, we'll just round robin, let you guys plug your channels or say what you want to say. We'll give a shout out on the YouTube side, and then we're going to go ahead and call it. So, Foos, anything you want to say? And thank you, Foos and Chris, for your insight on this. And anybody else, Jason, you guys that are in this, go ahead, Foos.
Just get out and shoot it. That's the major thing. If you were thinking about it, get out and shoot it. Even if you're not thinking about, hey, I want to start in this sport, even if it's just like, it sounds like fun, get out and shoot it. If you want to start shooting it every month, multiple matches a month, or hey, I want to do this 4th of July every year, fine. It's what you want to put into it is fine. You will get better just by shooting the sport. If all you do is once a month come out and shoot the sport, you will get better as an overall shooter. Plain and simple, if that's all you do. And with that, because I got 40 minutes to sign papers, so because I'm taking over a USPSA club here in Kansas City, so I need to go sign papers for financial reasons. So
sounds good, man. All right. Dude, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and explaining everything and kind of tackling it in a way that I think even the beginner's going to understand. I think that's important. So,
all right. If you guys contact me, I'm Foos USPSA and on YouTube, Craig Oakenfoos on Facebook. Contact me. I'll answer anything.
So. And Foos _USPSA over on YouTube is where you can find his channel too.
All right, I gotta get out here, guys.
Cool. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it. All right.
Bye.
All right, Chris. Anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, I love this sport. Just finished up my 3rd year, and I can't wait to get the 4th year started. And so, if anybody out there in the side chat's thinking about getting into it, you got questions, hit up the comment section over on my YouTube channel. You can hit me up over on Instagram Messenger. It's the same. It's Chris from the 740, and my email address is in my about section on my YouTube channel. So ask questions. I'm game to answer them. I love seeing new people join, and I'm not that good of a shooter, but I'll help you out any way I can. So I really appreciate you having this chat, Travis.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it, and I love talking about it, and it's a lot of fun.
It's cool. Like I said, if it brings anybody into it, then it's worth it. I mean, if it just shows people that you can safely use firearms and have fun and compete at the same time, I mean, it's kind of a nice kind of bridge or way to bring people into firearms, maybe that might not be firearm people, or but yeah, I'm thinking about maybe trying it out this spring or this summer, go to some matches and just run through it a couple times. And I mean, I've got the gear, I've got the basic stuff I need on an basic entry level to compete. So I might just have to try it this summer and see how it goes, or this spring. So yeah. Cool. All right, man. Chris, I appreciate you being here. And Chris, plug your channel real quick. Anything you want to say real quick? You do your podcasts?
Yeah. It's Chris from the 740 here on YouTube. We do a Wednesday night live chat every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. And this Jason and I are both actually going to be heading out to Wanamaker Thursday night. We're leaving.
Oh, nice.
And so we're going to do kind of a pregame show Wednesday night before we leave, and then we're going to do a wrap-up show the following Wednesday when we get back. And I think Clovertack's going to come on and talk about it too, because we're going to be meeting up with him out there. So
make sure you guys go to the it's not the best one, but do go to the Whataburger that's in Tulsa. You got to go eat there, man. Spicy sweet cheeseburger with bacon. That's all a person needs to be happy. I'm telling you. That and a gun show makes for a perfect weekend. So, and their sweet tea is unbelievable too. So, yeah, nice. Well, you guys have safe travels and stuff. If I don't talk to you before then, and it's going to be a good time. So, awesome. All right, Jason, anything you would say before we go, man?
Oh yeah, fantastic show, man. I really loved being part of this conversation with everybody today. Whether it be the competition shooting, reloading, buying guns, using guns in general, it is just so fantastic to be able to get someone else to share their advice, their experience. That's a friend, and we get honest information, freedom to ask whatever, and you trust what you're learning, man. It just makes the whole thing fun, enjoyable, and I'm like Chris said, I'm really glad you chose this topic this week.
You know, I think we're going to answer a lot of questions that people might have too, like what's it called? Because there's a lot of misconceptions going into it. Because you watch the video from USPSA, and again, everybody's got the sponsored jerseys on. There's these nice, expensive race guns people are running in the video, which makes it look flashy and cool. But we don't even realize that there's just a box stock division. Bring what you got, shoot what you got that you could do, which is really cool. I mean, that opens up to anybody like Awag I mentioned earlier. He did his first competition, or did a competition with USPSA with a PSA dagger, $350 gun, with an optic on it. So it's not like you have to have a $1,200 or $1,500 race gun or whatever to get into it. So I think that's one thing. And there's all these different divisions. You can do PCC if you guys got your pistol caliber carbines. That's the division you can go try out, or you could easily buy a retrofit and an upper for your AR and run that for less than the price of buying another standalone PCC. So yeah, a lot of options for people. I think that's really cool. Zinger out there says, awesome show, guys. I can't wait to start in the spring. So there you go. All right, American Hillbilly up. Anything you want to say, man?
Yeah, buddy. Man, thanks for having me on. I just enjoyed putting this on.
Yeah,
it was a
no
lot
problem,
of fun.
man.
It was, answered a lot of questions, and I know this is something that a lot of people have, questions about, but they don't really know what to do, same as I did, And so, it was very helpful. I really enjoyed it. Great side chat, great panel.
Oh yeah,
I just enjoyed it very much.
And yes, you can bring your revolver. So there you go. That just answered the question.
I was
you want to bring that 44 mag snubby? You go right ahead, sir. You want to be a glutton for punishment? You go right ahead. So yeah.
And I actually in just a few hours or so, I'm gonna be posting a new video. Watering the yard. Thanks to Single Shot, he gets shouted
I gotta
out
watch
there.
that.
And
Water the yard.
It was Single Shot had a great video there about that, and I asked him if I could use it, and he said yeah. And another thing, I am doing a video to honor Veterans Day, or veterans and stuff on Veterans Day. So if anybody has any pictures they'd like to share of themselves or family that's been in the service, or even if they're still serving or whatever, I would like to run some pictures along the backdrop of that video and stuff, just to help honor our service people. And one more thing, Chris, sitting here during this video, the whole thing, my mind's been spinning, would it be bad taste if I did a parody of these matches? Something funny?
No.
Okay.
You have to shoot the bananas off the tops of the targets.
Okay, how can I take this and make it funny?
You have to shoot and splatter guacamole on the sides of the avocado on the sides of the target before you can move to progress to the next stage. All like Food Run 2022.
Yeah. Don't forget the Marlboro hanging out your lip.
Oh yeah, you gotta have the smoker class. You're required to. Somebody was saying that for the younger guys, they could have a vaping class because you old smokers can't compete with those young guys that vape. So those IPA skinny jeans guys, they got their own culture that they fall into. So those of you watching, you know who you are.
It might be more of a pipe and coveralls.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we have a pipe smokers division, like an old tobacco pipe, and then we'd have the. This is terrible, man. Actually, propose. We'll start watching. We'll have Winston will start sponsoring you guys now. You'll have the Hoppies 9 ad on the right side, and then the RJ Tobacco on the left. Oh my God. They have on-site inhalers for people if they need them, if they choke up during the stage. So yeah. If you guys have no idea what we're talking about, just go back and watch the podcast. There was a proposal for a smokers class, so that way they could actually compete with somebody. But yeah, we will definitely check out. No problem, man. Good stuff. All right, Single Shot. Anything you want to say before we go?
Oh, Chris from the 740. Thank you for the stickers. I did get them a couple days ago, so I appreciate that. That was quite the surprise.
Well, you're welcome. I'm glad they got to you.
I got mine.
Yes, sir. And I've definitely got a place for them right up on the refrigerator there. We're going to put them right up, display them. Almost into New York here. Been a great chat. I mean, I used to shoot competition, but nothing like that. we had quite the discipline in the nationals when I shot that. But that's definitely a highly specific sport, and you really got to pay attention to what you're doing all the time. I don't know if I could do anything like that nowadays with my back the way that it is. My balance is getting a little on the tipsy there as well. I'm not as well balanced as I used to be, but I would like to try the steel challenge and, you know, so you get into that. I'm definitely going to check on the clubs up there in Maine to see if they have those USPSA matches. I'm sure they do, and I would like to go to one and check it out. Possibly shoot in it. Who knows? You know, I got my 40, and I got actually two 40s. I got the MMP, and I got a Taurus PT 101 that I could use. Plus my
Do they have a
45.
single shot class?
They need to. Thompson Center Division. Thompson Center Part Division. Yep, that's right. That's right.
No, we get into that in the Shooters Association, Metallic Silhouette Shooters Association. That is single shot, and most of the guys that are competing in that are utilizing TC product. And they run all kinds of different calibers, and you're shooting 4 silhouette style steel targets at varying ranges, varying weights. Some of the classes you really got to have some horsepower in those cartridges to knock them down. Field is a good division to check out on that, because those guys are shooting mid-caliber bores. You got the 22, and then you got the big bore stuff. So I even had a picture of a guy that had a custom-built 458 Winchester Magnum that he was using, and that was on a single-shot frame. I forget now who made it, but that's a lot of horsepower out of that gun for a pistol cartridge. So there's a lot of variations there. I'll keep everybody posted on the progression of the RL 550. I'm getting pretty excited about using that. I do want to get 2 more conversion sets for it. And according to the lady that I talked to at Dillon, the only problem with any of the dies going into that press is lead dies. They seem to be a little bit short. And it's a little bit harder to use a lead die in the Dillon presses. So I don't know. We'll find out.
Cool.
It'll take everybody else's. You know, Lyman, RCBS, Reading. Everybody else is okay, but she just said that the lead dies are cut just a little bit too short to use in the Dillon press. So maybe that'll even come into play if I do start shooting competition again. I used to do it quite a lot. Made the combat nationals with handgun. 8. Oh, it wasn't. It was 5 out of 6 times. I stopped thinking about twice there that I was going to go out, but didn't get it done. But anyway, I'd like to say thanks to everybody that was there, and a lot of information that was put out. So thanks a lot for the invite, Travis. Appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Have a good rest of the weekend. Drive careful if you're going anywhere. America moves by truck.
Absolutely, man. No, I'm sorry, my dog was barking himself awake, so I had to mute and pause. He was sleeping. He sitting there barking. I'm like, dude, quiet down. He was sleeping. He had no clue. But no, man. Appreciate what you said. Good luck with the presses. I hope they work well. And yeah, you might be sticking with all the same brand of components. You never know. So, all right. And last but certainly not least is Squib Lift. Squib, any final comments? Any final plugs you want to make before we go ahead and call it?
I think there was a lot of good information shared. I think what was said could really help somebody to make a decision if they wanted to look into this further. I like some of the structure and procedure of this sport, and I understand some of the things that were explained, but it is most definitely not for me. So yeah, I learned something that would be helpful. Not that I said at the beginning, that ship sailed, but it's definitely something not for me, but somebody else, it might fit right into what they're looking for. So glad you did a show on it.
Yeah, it's just a topic we've never covered before, really getting into competitive shooting. We talked about SAS a couple of years ago, and I thought, let's try USPSA. It sounds like it's a lot of fun, and having Foos and Chris on board made it pretty easy. So yeah, good deal. G-Web said, I feel like after shooting well at a match, you might want to bring your pistol home and set it on an R&L display, handmade in New York, and appreciate the time spent on the range with the rest of the week. So, yep, Chris is showing off his one. Here's every week you see it. This is the AR-15 display that they make. Fine furniture display pieces for your fine firearms. So you can check that out over at rnldisplays.com. So, and no, I don't charge New York Outcast for that advertising. It's just a little plug we give him because he hooked me up. So I like to hook him up. And again, nice way to display your firearms. So there you go. All right, so if I can make it through this without my voice going out, a little shout out on the YouTube side to Tommy Gunn, Hillbilly Up, Bjorn, YNH, Ozzy Orsborn, Tim S., Kristen the 740, Robert Lawler, G-Webs, Jason Stewart, Zinger. I was out there doing double duty. Ozzy Orsborn, Hillbilly Up, Baron SVG, M. Gabriel, Casey Dolph. Let's see who else was out there watching. A lot of people chiming in today. A lot of conversation. New York Outcast out there also. Razor JB in the house. Let's see. Did we miss anybody? Hopefully didn't miss anybody. I'm just kind of scrolling up the list over here. Tim S. out there watching today too. Tommy Gunn joining in from Canada. Fine 81393 watching today. Had a good crowd today. It was a lot of fun. A good discussion. I think it just really maybe cleared up a lot of myths and misunderstandings that people might have about getting into competitive shooting and what it really entails and what the investment's going to be. And no, it's not going to be free, but really no hobby's free. I mean, what's it going to cost you to go do, two rounds of golf and a cart rental and a meal afterwards? And, I mean, there are no weekend hobbies that are really cheap, when you think about it. Air Gun 1776, Locks, Rocks, and Whatnots joining in today too. DJ Play Nice was out there watching also. Tactical FUD in the house. Yeah, I think that's probably about everybody. I think that's about it. So, all right, we will go ahead and call it. Hopefully next weekend we'll have some coverage from the Wanamaker Gun Show. I think that's going to be really cool. And then finally, J-Ben or J-Beans out there also watching on the YouTube side. So you guys see any videos popping up for the Wanamaker Show, you definitely want to watch it. It's an awesome event. You should try to go to it if you ever get a chance. Very, very cool. Otherwise, I think that's about it. So just on behalf of Kristen the 740 and Jason and Hillbilly Up and Single Shot and Squib Lift and Awag, who was with us sooner, and also Foos, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being here. And always go back on the replay if you want to. And if you're bored, we got 5 seasons of Caliber Corner you can check out. So we got a topic on, just type in Caliber Corner and pretty much whatever topic about firearms you want. There's a pretty good chance we did a show on it in the last 255 episodes. And if not, well, then it's definitely a potential topic. So you guys have fun, be safe, and as you know, of course, we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, Alicia.
And there's going to be an Alicia class for USPSA. So there you go. Right? An Alicia class. Bye, Felicia. Bye.